All right. Okay, I see people jumping in. Hello, everyone. Okay, just giving it a couple more seconds as people are filtering in. Okay, awesome. So I will go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll get some more people filtering in as we go on, but happy Wednesday, everyone. Wanted to just jump right in and welcome all. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. This is Success North Dallas Young Executives, Sndye, partnering with Mariplex. To bring you all a great conversation, very necessary for the times we are in today, about 2021 cybersecurity, the threat landscape, what you can expect, and kind of best practices for that. So wanted to tell you, starting off a little bit about Success North Dallas Young Executives. So, we are grateful to be able to partner with Mariplex for this event, but Sndye hosts a lot of events just like this monthly. So your first meeting is free. Of course, if this is the first meeting you've attended, maybe we'll give you the next one free, and you can jump on and just become a part of this great networking group. We are a group of young executives. You may have heard of Success North Dallas, which is a networking group that has been around for over 30 years. And we are actually the contingency plan, the younger ones moving up and keeping networking alive in the North Dallas area. So young executives actually get $100 off of their first year of membership and are able to attend all Success North Dallas meetings, as well as the Success North Dallas Young Executives meetings. So you get a lot more opportunity to network, to connect, go to happy hours, just a lot of great opportunity. And if that sounds interesting to you, you want to learn more, you want to talk to us further, feel free to reach out to us at youngexecutives@successnorthdallas.com, and we can talk a little bit more about it, but hope to see you in the future. And I want to toss it over to Sndye over at Mariplex so she can tell you a little bit about Mariplex and all the great things they're doing.
Thank you, Shelby, and thank you all for joining us today. We are very excited to partner with Success North Dallas Young Executives, and we have been a partner for Success North Dallas for some time, and it is a fantastic networking group. We are thrilled to be part of and continue to take part in these discussions moving forward. For those of you that don't know about Mariplex, we are a managed solutions provider and a managed security solutions provider. We essentially augment existing IT for your small to medium-sized business all the way up to enterprise. And obviously, cybersecurity is a huge focus for us right now, and as it is for every business. And so with that being said, I just want to hand it over to VJ to get us kicked off. Again, thank you for your time today. I hope you learned some valuable information. And at the end of this, you'll be able to contact us with any questions, and feel free to reach out throughout the webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelby, and thanks, Misty. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking time and joining this webinar. My name is Vijay Iyengar. I'm the VP of Cybersecurity at Mariplex. I've been in the cybersecurity space for about 20 years in different roles. But I run the operations side of security here at Mariplex. So I just want to share some of our experiences in the cybersecurity space with you all. And cybersecurity is one area that applies to any industry, irrespective of which industry you're from. There are some people from banking. There are customers from manufacturing, oil and gas, healthcare. High tech, you name it. You have customers from every vertical, but cybersecurity is one concept that applies across all the verticals. So, and that's why it's extremely important to have an understanding of what goes on in the cybersecurity world, right? I hope to share some of our experiences, some of the challenges that our customers face, and how we help them with those challenges, the solution set that we use, how we kind of help the customer learn about the threat landscape, what they should be aware of, and how they need to be better prepared to protect and defend from any attacks. So that's kind of the high level agenda for today's webinar. This slide that you're seeing here today, talks about the cybersecurity posture in many of the customers' environment. The first one is the detection gap. There's a threat in every environment that goes unnoticed for almost 246 days before it actually is exploited, and then it becomes an attack, right? And then it's like it's in a silent mode, and it will be surprised that that's how many number of days an attacker hacker actually stays in your environment without knowing about it, right? And then before they start exploiting it, right? And then it takes about 60 days to actually detect from the time they detect, and then it takes about 60 days to remediate those issues to bring back the business online. So that's a significant time frame that we're talking about. But typically, the customers want to respond to threats in less than 48 hours. But the current scenario is almost a year. So this is kind of the statistics that we see in the industry that would like to share. So if you think there are attacks that's happening just in a day or a week, it's actually not the case. So your systems are already compromised, and the hacker is already in your environment for quite some time, understanding what's going on before they start exploiting those vulnerabilities and actually launching an attack. So that's kind of a snapshot of the detection and the remediation gap that's there in the market today. Next slide, Abby. I just want to share some of these top cyber trends for 2021. Some of you may have heard about this, but I would like to just kind of quickly walk you through a few which made headlines. You probably heard about the Colonial pipeline attack, which is probably one of the biggest attack in the U.S. For quite some time, right? They were able to breach the operations by shutting down the gasoline hoarding, and the reason for the breach is because the credentials were compromised. The reason why it was compromised is because no one looked at how the whole thing was set up. There were no monitoring of what goes on in their environment. There's no regular audits. Things were not audited on a regular basis. The security posture were not assessed on a continual basis, and that's one of the key learnings from this is that it doesn't matter how many ever technologies that you have in your environment, but you need to have a way to understand how it actually works. Is it actually working and doing the thing it should be doing, right? Is it configured correctly? Is it someone looking at who's accessing those systems? Is everyone who's accessing the systems are the right people who are supposed to access those systems, right? So that's kind of one of the lessons learned from this attack is the security was an afterthought. It was not as part of the process and everyday day-to-day activity, right? So that's kind of why things were let loose, and then finally they got hacked, and then a big ransom was paid. So you want to be able to understand what is your current infrastructure, what are the challenges from a security standpoint, what is the visibility that you have about your infrastructure? Are you protected? Do you have the right things in place to defend from attacks? So those are kind of the things that you may want to implement when you build your security program. The second one that I want to talk about is the zero-day attacks. This is something that you would have probably seen from Microsoft quite often, right? Zero-day vulnerabilities is a vulnerability that can be exploited, immediately without even having a patch or a solution in place by the vendor. So, for example, Microsoft Zero Day is a vulnerability that can be exploited even before Microsoft can actually come up with a patch to address that vulnerability, right? So you need to be prepared for these kinds of vulnerabilities. You always have a temporary solution that gets released by these product vendors. So you need to stay on top of all the things that goes in your infrastructure from a product standpoint. So you need to be able to subscribe to these thread feeds from these product vendors or the community that releases all these threat intel. So you stay ahead of the game, so you know what to implement when there is a vulnerability like this that comes out, right? How are you keeping pace with all these things that comes out? So you need to have a way to subscribe to these and to be able to keep track of what's going on. And another option is to always keep your third-party software, the product, up to date with all the firmware updates, software updates. There should be a way to automate all those updates, be it patches or whatever, right? So that's something that you need to make sure that you stay on top to address these kinds of problems. The third one is Kaseya. Kaseya is another a product vulnerability that was dealt in July 2021, and because Kaseya is used widely in the market for pushing agents or patching or whatnot. This actually created a lot of problems to many customers, and luckily at Meriplex we were not impacted because we got the information ahead of time and we were able to shut down the servers that we use to support our customers on Kaseya. So that's why, I say you need to stay on top of all these intels. It actually helps because we were, in touch with Kaseya and we were given this firsthand information on what's going on with this attack. So we were able to take immediate action to protect all our customers' business who are on Kaseya and the support that we provided for that. So you always have to also run a vulnerability management program for your environment, which includes a lot of different products or whatnot, and continuously auditing your systems, looking for vulnerabilities, identifying the issues is extremely key so that you can remediate and you can always stay on top. So that's kind of the fallouts of these issues that we saw in 2021, and how we dealt with some of them, and with the takeaways and lessons learned from the slide. Can you move to the next one, Amy? So this is just a continuation of the previous slide, just calling out some of the attacks that we have seen happen with major companies. Microsoft, had this issue. We also had the SolarWinds email hack. Investigators still don't know how the company was breached, right? So there could be something, you may not even know what happened, but there's always something that you learn from any hacks, which will definitely let you know what kind of vulnerabilities exist in your environment, how well prepared you are, and if you're not, then you need to start addressing some of those issues as these kinds of things happen. And we wish nothing happens, but there's always a lessons learned. And I see there is a question on the chat window. How can Meriplex help companies keep third-party programs like Chrome or Firefox up to date with security patches? Yeah, absolutely. So we do also have a managed services team as part of Meriplex, which takes care of all these third-party patches. Some of the patches would be Adobe patches or Apache patches, anything that comes from third-party. So as part of our managed services team, what we do is we manage, we push all these operating system patches through a vendor called 99 Pro, and also we use ProVal. So these are some of these solutions that we use at Meriplex to push operating system related patches. It could be Microsoft, it could be Linux or whatnot. We have a way to push all these third-party patches. It could be related to Chrome, Firefox, whatnot. So we do have a process in place to do that for our customers. I hope that answers the question. Was there any other question around patching? Okay, I don't see any questions. All right, let's move on to the next one slide, Amy. Challenges with cybersecurity technology. So one of the things that we have seen is, customers just keep buying these tool sets for cybersecurity, assuming that it will protect them and defend them from attacks, but it actually is not the case. Any product is good only if you know how to use the product and how you can effectively optimize the tool and know what outputs you need to get out of those tools, right? And and if you have a tool or a technology in place which is not configured right, if it is not, uh, you know, if the rules are not created in the right way for you to get those alerts, then it's pretty much useless, right? So that's where Meriplex helps the customers to kind of uh, uh, help the customers use the tools effectively and actually get the maximum output out of the tool as part of our services, because we deploy the tools within Meriplex to make sure we understand how it works before we actually deploy to our clients, right? Because it's like eat your own dog food. If you don't know the tools, and how it works and how it has to be used, then you can advise your clients on how they need to use. So that's kind of our strategy or philosophy, as you will, where we deploy the tools and technologies that we offer as part of our services within Meriplex first. And then we do a 90-day learning period to make sure that we understand that very clearly. And then we roll that out as a service for our customers. And the tools could be your endpoint detection tools. It could be your antivirus, anti-malware tools. It could be your SIM tool for your monitoring, security, information event management tool. It could be your firewalls. It could be your DNS filtering, your cloud security tools, whatnot, right? So we do test everything within our environment, and that way we can be in an advisory role for our customers to make sure that they are protected in a good way. Thinking your business does not need it, right? And what what it means is that sometimes you make decisions, based on what you hear and what you think, you would need, but you also have to align your tools and technologies or your approach or strategy that will help with your business goals, right? And that's why it's extremely important to kind of know what your business objectives are, what your risks are, and how do you handle the risks. It could be a combination of people, process, technology. You might have the best technology in place, but if you don't have the right people in your organization, then it's not going to really help, because your ransomware attacks happen because of the human errors most of the time, because of the phishing attacks, right? So if you don't understand the people, process, and technology aspect of it, and then you really can fully address the cybersecurity concerns that you would have. So it's important to understand from each and every angle before you pick the right solutions and that meets your business goals.
And BJ, just real quick, talking about compliance, because I know our audience is wide, and there's several different industries represented on this webinar. As it relates to compliance, obviously that's really going to dictate a lot of your cybersecurity tools that you put in place. Is that accurate?
That is correct. So compliance is an extremely important piece, irrespective of the industry, right? Some industries have much more stringent regulations that you have to follow. For example, if for banking, FFIEC is an important, regulatory requirement. So when you design your framework, when you design your information security program or strategy, you need to design in a way that it addresses all these requirements that can address these compliance requirements. And on the OT side of the house, you probably have this NERC SIP requirements that you need to comply, right? Where you're required to do regular vulnerability management and penetration testing. So that's a mandatory requirement. So every industry has its own compliance requirement. So when we design the information security program for our customers, we keep that in mind, and we tailor our solutions in such a way that it addresses all those compliance requirements for those industries. So that's a good point, Macy. So that's kind of how we help our customers design their information security program.
What we're finding today, just to touch on that, is, and I just was speaking with a client as a vendor, even as a vendor to a bank, if you will, sometimes those vendors have to maintain a certain compliance in order to just be a vendor. And so even though they might be a promotional industries company, what we found is that there is that due diligence that the bank goes through, and this is just an example, where the vendor themselves has to maintain that compliance because they are holding specific data as it relates to the bank. So we're finding that compliance is kind of, it's carrying over to not just the bank itself, but or the healthcare company itself, but also to the vendors of those specific organizations. So
that is correct. And also, we have healthcare clients where we help with the HIPAA compliance related audits. We help customers go through the high trust HIPAA related compliance process. So there's a lot of compliance related work that we do at Meriplex, to help our customers. And compliance is also important from insurance standpoint, right? As you know, there is a significant rise in the ransomware attacks lately, and there's been a lot of requirements from cyber insurance companies, but they have expanded their list of things every company has to have in place from a cybersecurity standpoint. It could be compliance, it could be your audits, your tools and technologies that you need to have at a minimum to be able to even qualify for those insurance amounts from the cyber insurance company. So all these different aspects, including compliance, is all tied together, right? It could be from an operations standpoint, it could be from an audit standpoint, it could be from an insurance standpoint. So it's always important to design your program in such a way that it meets all these requirements.
We have another question, Vijay. Robert's asking, how will we address the current air-gapped environments in medical and ONG as regarding cybersecurity?
Yeah, again, so having a foundational framework is important when you build all these strategies, right? The strategy would be you picking the right tools and technology in place. Before you even get to that part of it, you need to understand what your findings are from your security assessments, right? So that's why you always start with your security assessments, understanding about your environment, and then understanding the gaps and challenges, and then design your solutions to address those challenges. And it's all tied in. And one of the things that we always strive from Meriplex standpoint is to understand where the customer is from a security posture standpoint, from a maturity standpoint. Are they reactive, or are they proactive, or are they adaptive? So what I mean by that is, if you're having a minimal security controls, you're going to be always reactive, right? And that's where you always start. And then once you have all the required basic security controls in place, then you're looking for a potential threat that might impact your environment. There might be some exploit that somebody can exploit to compromise your environments, and that's when you get proactive. And when you become proactive, you choose the next set of technologies and make sure you have the right process in place supporting those technologies to be able to be proactive, right? So having an antivirus is probably a reactive, uh, standpoint, right? Then you're looking at uh, endpoint detection and response, which is the EDR solution. It's a little more advanced, right? Where it's not only blocking, but it's also responding. It's killing those attacks, stuff like that. And then talk about proactive, we're also looking at how do I gain visibility into the environment holistically. Then I'm trying to bring in all these different technologies and trying to feed these logs into a SIM environment, which becomes my single pane of glass to have the right visibility across all the different technologies from a security standpoint. So you're moving from being proactive to adaptive. So that's how the journey always should be, right? You understand your environment, have a strategy in place, deploy the right tool sets, make sure that you get value out of that, continuously improve, move from reactive to adaptive, and then try to maintain that posture. As things change in environments. That's kind of the approach that our customers take, and we help them with that with our services.
Vijay, we have another question. What's the best antivirus and cybersecurity software?
I mean, there is no best antivirus software that you can say can't pinpoint one particular product. Every product call themselves bulletproof, right? But there are quite a few good antivirus software in place. Like you have your McAfee, Symantec, you have your FortiClient, ESET is one of those products that we use at Meriplex. FortiClient is one of our products as well. So there's no best, right? I mean, there's nothing is bulletproof. At some point in time, something will have some vulnerability, right? But you got to pick the best, of the best in the market, and try to kind of keep pace with the changes that goes in the market. Like we're not married to any one particular product forever, right? We always constantly evaluate products that say are in the market, and we change our tool sets accordingly, right? So there might be something that's come out better, and we want to be able to give the best to our customers. So there might be a reason for why we change those tool sets based on where the industry is headed, right? So that's a constant evaluation, and product selection is the approach that we take.
So, and Elizabeth also asked, can you list them here? I just want to address what Vijay is saying, Elizabeth, and that is it's a multi-layered approach. And as with Meriplex being a managed security solutions provider as well, we're always revisiting them because our goal is to always provide the best of breed to our clients, and we're testing those regularly. So again, there's not one size fits all, or each one's going to tell you they're the best of everything, but we are always reevaluating that. And I think Vijay, you can answer this. How often are we revisiting our vendor selection? Is it annually? I believe
we do it annually. I firmly believe in that, because there's always something new that comes up with how dynamic the cybersecurity industry itself is. You always have to revisit your tools, right? And does it mean that you have to change them every year? Absolutely not. But it always is good to look at what's there in the market. When I first started, we had firewalls, and then came the DLP, and then it came the IDS IPS, right? And then IDS IPS is not fun anymore, right? And then came the SIM solution. Then we talked about SOAR. We talked about the user entity behavior analysis, UEBA. So there's always something new that comes up in the cybersecurity space. So the constant evaluation and understanding of what comes out and is extremely important. And definitely we should keep looking at what's new and keep pace with that. All right, so the next slide. This is what we recommend, as an approach to anybody who don't have an information security program, or if they do, how do you go about it, right? So first you establish an information security program and strategy, and then you evaluate and understand your current infrastructure and security postures in lines with what I just mentioned in my previous slide. You identify your challenges and gaps. Then you come up with a strategy, what works for you from a business standpoint. You don't want to implement solutions that will impact your business, right? There might be something that you need to make an exception to allow your business to work, the way it should. There might be a security solution that might hinder that process. So that's when you make an exception and accept the risk before you implement that, right? So that's kind of uh, what we mean by designing the information security strategy. So you plan the right strategy, and then implement the solutions. What we always recommend is take a simplified approach, right? Don't go for like the most complicated solutions. Let's start with the low hanging fruits, the basics, right? Patching protecting your endpoints, having an endpoint detection and response solution. uh, Make sure your employees are aware of all these phishing attacks that happen, so you have phishing protection in place. Your advanced email threat protection, make sure that you don't allow emails that come from an unknown source, which could probably have malware or links in a phishing email, uh, having you give your passwords and usernames and stuff. So having a good advanced email threat protection place is important. Web filtering, make sure what you can and cannot allow for your employees to use while they're at work, right? You don't want them to browse websites which are inappropriate and doesn't have any relevance to your business. Um, Network segmentation, make sure you have the key assets on the right network, have the right network segments in place. Uh, Manage your DNS and web filtering. Uh, Always do a regular security awareness training, and you will be surprised how important this has been. 5 years ago, if somebody told me we need to do an employee security awareness training, I would have been like, "Oh, that's okay. It's not big deal. It's not important." But now, to me, that's the most important. The reason because all these compromises, the ransomware, the phishing attacks, all these happens because your employee was not aware that it is a fake link that he or she has clicked on, which has actually compromised the network, for your company, and also it has, put a pause on your business, right? So the employee awareness is extremely important, especially with the rise in ransomware attacks that we see. Backups, right? And again, this is something is become extremely important because if you don't have backups, there's no way for you to restore. And if you can restore, you can recover. And if you can recover, you can get your business app back up online. So you absolutely have to make sure your backups are in place for your key assets, right? Your servers, critical servers, your exchange servers, your servers that has your data for the company, right? So all that needs to be backed up on a regular basis and tested. The last one is compliance. I can't emphasize enough. What you implement is one thing, and how it meets your requirements is another thing. So you have to have absolutely make sure you run reports and constantly check if you're compliant with all these different regulatory standards that you have to be, right? So compliance is a key aspect of your information security program. So that's kind of uh, the list of things that I want to summarize for you guys, just to take note. Hope this particular slide helps. If you see there's something that you're not doing from a recommendation standpoint, you should start doing it. But if you have any questions, absolutely feel free to reach out to Misty or I, or Mariplex. We will be more than happy to help you in any way we can. I don't know if there's more slides to this, Amy.
Absolutely. So real quick, we're going to be pushing out a poll right now. Just a quick poll. If you can answer, do you have a security awareness program in place? And, just it's okay if you don't, or you're unsure. But I just want to identify exactly, what you're looking, what your current landscape looks like. Okay, VJ.
Yep, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for taking the poll. Just here's a slide that kind of summarizes our cyber defense services. So at Meriplex, we call our services our cyber defense services. And we also have a cyber defense operations center where our security analysts monitor our customers' environment 24/7. So we have a cyber defense operations center uh, in Houston, which is our you know head office. And if you would like to come and take a look and have a visit, feel free to reach out to Misty, and we can definitely organize as a visit for you guys to come and take a look at our cyber defense center. This particular slide talks about the different services that we offer from Enerplex standpoint. As you can see, email security, MDR is managed detection and response, endpoint protection, two-factor authentication, cloud security, your SIM, which is 24/7, 365 monitoring, detection, and response. We also have our consulting services that we do as part of our cybersecurity practice, which includes your vulnerability management, which we do monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, depending on what you would like to do. The standard is quarterly vulnerability scans. And then network wireless pen testing that we can do, web application security testing. It's important if you're in e-commerce or banking industry. It's important for you to do some testing on your web applications because you want to make sure your web applications, your web applications are protected and securely coded and stuff. So we do assessments on those lines as well. Security assessment based on NIST framework, HIPAA, CMMC, PCI. These are some of the things that we can do for you. Security awareness training. We have tool sets that we use to help you with your employee security awareness. Dark web reporting is another one which is extremely important. As you know, the reason why these data is being sold from companies is to either hold them against paying a ransom or selling it to the dark web, right? The hackers steal your information and then they probably will sell it to a community where there are people looking for such information to use to exploit your environment. So it's also sold in dark web, right? And we also have a service to kind of help you identify what information about your company is out there in the dark web, so that you can be proactive in either removing it or staying ahead of it, so that you can protect yourself. So that's kind of a high level summary of what we do from a services standpoint. Again, all those sub categories of these solutions are listed there. I don't want to go each and every one of them in detail, but you kind of get the high level service catalog. And if you need more information in terms of pricing, the framework, the methodology, the deliverables that we deliver as part of these services, more than happy to walk them through with you guys. If you're interested, definitely reach out to Misty, and we can do another session based on your interest and needs. Anything else you want to add, Misty?
No, I think that was great, BJ. Thank you so much for covering it. I know it was a lot of information. We've had a lot of good interaction through the chat, and I'll be following up with several of you afterwards. But below is my email. It's mnorton@meriplex.com. You can reach out to me as it relates to discussing, an assessment of your current landscape and how we can be a partner, how we're partnering with Success North Dallas Young Executives, and what we're doing to support some of those clients. Some of our clients are within that networking group as well. We are more than grateful for your time today. And if there's anything you need, feel free to reach out to me. Again, it's mnorton@meriplex.com, and we'll be sending this information out. Thank you so much.
And thank you for taking the time to join this webinar. I hope this webinar was very informative, and feel free to reach out, and we're here to help you in any way we can. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.